Jefferies. It's good to have you join us. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you as well. So I guess, first of all, what stood out to you the most in this latest earnings report from Moderna?
I think for the most part, they did pre-announce last month in January. So the quarter ended up being in line more or less on revenues, but on the expenses side, it did come in ahead of expectations. So as we turn into 2026, again, most things were more or less reiterated expenses, which is one key driving force to getting the stock higher because the company wants to break even by 2028, while revenues are expected to be flattish in 2026. I think those two driving forces could get the stock higher in theory. And that is what investors wanted to pay attention to. But with this print, the expenses did come in a little bit better than expected. So there was some relief there.
How concerning is it, though, like the FDA's decision not to review the flu vaccine application? How concerning was that to you, do you think, for the company?
I think it's a strange, unusual circumstance. It makes people, including me, wonder whether this is related in part due to politics because, based on what Moderna is saying, they did have two official FDA meetings over the past 2 years that did not indicate the FDA had an issue with how the phase 3 studies were designed. So in terms of your question about concerns, I mean, I would be somewhat concerned around how, at least in the U.S. side, the timing of that could be approved, and what does that mean for outer or medium-term sales to allow Moderna to hit break even. But at the same time, I should also emphasize this is just a U.S. dynamic. Sure, we do model some U.S. flu and flu combo sales on top of that. Those are two separate assets. But I wanted to emphasize that they do have ex-U.S. Regulatory reviews underway right now in the EU, Australia, Canada regions to start, and that seemed to be going well. So it is a stark contrast, in a said another way, between the U.S. and ex-U.S. so far, but we'll see.
We'll see. I know some Bloomberg intelligence analysts are saying Moderna really needs its cancer treatments to succeed, especially because of what's happening with the flu shots. Do you agree with that? Are the cancer treatments in part like a way forward for this company?
I generally agree that it will be helpful. I think naturally with flu timing being uncertain, same with flu combo, yes, the next, the attention goes to what's next for Moderna, and it would be the INT studies. And yes, this phase 3 melanoma data reading out in 2026 probably should be, I would say, modestly, or it could be significant in revenues. When I say modestly significant, could be $1 billion plus in peak sales. So that will definitely help Moderna's top line, which should be doing about $3 billion this year. So it's definitely helpful. But I would want to know, what else can this specific INT personalized vaccine be able to show in other solid tumors outside of melanoma? Because to me, for instance, renal cell carcinoma or lung cancer, which could have data in 2026, 2027, could be even bigger. So yes, in a sense, this program matters. It's just we need to see the data to be more confident whether this gets through the goal line to have Moderna have more top-line revenue growth.
Yeah, you need more information on that front. In terms of management, does management's 2026 outlook change the story at all for you when it comes to Moderna?
I think it's similar to the messaging from before meaning January and even as far back as November. The current guidance is for revenues this year to grow up to 10%. I think consensus is around flat. But even if they did flat, I think that's good news for Moderna because like you started off establishing, COVID sales have been declining because there have been decreased vaccination rates. But I'm encouraged, I'm hopeful that at least in the ex-US regions, COVID could grow. It seems like it's not just COVID vaccinations that can help top line revenue growth. It seems like they have factories, supposedly, I believe in the EU and other regions that could also drive manufacturing revenue to help that top line growth. So I think more or less it's the same expectation that, like, I'm not surprised basically with the new update today, but it is important to me that COVID or sales overall does not decline significantly this year, which I don't think it should. And then I would add, part of their guidance is for U.S. Sales to actually decline year over year this year. So if for whatever reason, vaccination rates pick up in the U.S., that's good news for the top line revenue.
Okay, well. So it sounds, just in our last minute here, you sound cautiously optimistic, like you don't think sales will decline anymore, even though that's part of the forecast.
I think sales will be flattish, would be my best guess. Yes, cautiously optimistic would be the right word. Even if it's down 100, 200 million, I think that's fine. To be clear, just to me, it's flattish enough. I just don't want a meaningful drop, which I don't think happens.
Okay, yeah. We will leave it there. Andrew Tsai, Managing Director at Jefferies. Always appreciate your time. Thank you.